By the floods in Pakistan. Yasrab Shah is from the Muslim Hands charity in Nottingham. Yasmin, thank you very much for joining us on the program. I understand your office has 15 regional offices throughout the country. What are your people seeing on the ground?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having us on. Absolutely. Muslim Hands was established back in 1993 on the back of the Balkan crisis. So we've been born out of emergencies, and ever since then, so maybe now 30 years later, we've been dealing with emergencies, but nothing on this scale, and sadly, in many regions around the world. And specifically here in Pakistan, our teams have actually been on the ground for some 6 weeks now, providing aid and relief across our regional offices throughout Pakistan. But sadly, like the Pakistan government themselves, we're being completely overwhelmed, if we're being completely honest, and we desperately need our donors to come forward and support the people of Pakistan in their desperate hour of need.
I mean, food prices were already sky high in Pakistan.
Yeah.
How are these floods going to impact food production?
Well, absolutely. You're quite right to mention that actually the Pakistani government itself and the economy was going through an economic crisis before even this, the hot weather which started in May and June, especially in the south of Pakistan, and then followed by over 8 weeks of torrential monsoon rains, which have been incessant, have brought great misery to many parts of the country. When you consider something like 50% of the country of Pakistan's landmass is underwater, with 33 million people affected. And you just get to an idea of the scale. And you're quite right to point out, actually, this is going to have a devastating effect on those rural areas, especially in the Punjab, which is central Pakistan, which is actually really responsible for much of the agriculture of Pakistan. That, sadly, many of those crops have been washed away, and those harvests, no doubt, have failed. And, they're already pointing at the fact that, and I've been at Muslim Hands for over 16 years, and I certainly remember when we responded to the Pakistan floods back in 2010 and 2011, and at that time, 20 million people were affected and over 2,000 people's lives lost. Well, here, over 33 million people have been affected, and sadly, in the last 24 hours alone, at least 119 people have lost their lives. So the scale of this disaster is actually starting to eclipse the worst flooding disaster in the entire of Pakistan's history. So it is a huge worry, and especially for the people of Pakistan moving forward. We're very much at the moment appealing to our donor base to give, as your reports were just saying there, to provide people with cooked food and clean drinking water, because of the spread of waterborne diseases throughout the country and throughout the provinces. And sadly, as you mentioned, that we're expecting things to actually get worse over the next few days, especially in the south, in the province of Sindh, as the waters from the north continue to move further down south. And sadly, we also have reports of glaciers themselves in the north and in Gilgit actually melting and making the situation that much worse.
Yasrab Shah, thank you so much for joining us on the program. We appreciate your update.